Hey guys, Rachel Kreider. I have Karen Murphy with me on the line. Karen is originally from Ireland, but she's been living in my hometown, Sydney, Australia, for around about 28 years or so. She's been living as an expat. She's a world traveler and has been here with Prosperity of Life, running her online business for a little while now. We've gotten to know each other in different pockets of the globe. And in terms of results, why should we listen to Karen? I tell you what, this month she's sitting on 26,000 US dollars in terms of profit in her business. Just 7 weeks in of running her business, she'd already banked 12,000 US. So she's someone who created a lot of success very early on, but she's managed to sustain a high degree of success for a long period of time. And the best bit is she works this business very part-time. So we wanted to get into the weeds a little bit, talk about the difference between traditional business versus what she's doing here with Prosperity of Life, how she manages to travel around the world, making it look so easy. Karen, thank you so much for joining us. Let's kick it off. I think it'd be great if you could go back to the beginning when you were actually making the decision as to whether or not to get started here with Prosperity of Life, because you were at a crossroads. You could have gone this way or that way. Let's start there.
Oh, thanks for having me, Rach. Yeah. So I did get started with Prosperity, like, gosh, how long ago was it now? It was the beginning of 1996. And honestly, I haven't looked back. As you mentioned, my background had been in traditional business. So I guess as a young, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed expat, when I came here from Ireland, gosh, the mid-1990s, I did have, I guess, a head full of dreams. I had empty pockets then, but I certainly had a head full of dreams. Ended up building a very successful business with my former husband in the construction industry. And, whilst it was, great at the time, setting up something for ourselves, a new life for ourselves in a new country, it came with its fair share of headaches too. There was lots of overheads. My God, sleepless nights. I don't want to even think about the sleepless nights. And the stress that comes with having the staff to manage and so on. So look, whilst it was great financially, it rewarded us very well financially and with lots of awards and so on, but personally, not so much. So after 8 years, I decided to move away from that. And, a couple of tough years, I went through them with a tough divorce and whatever. And I guess I was then at that crossroads where I had to figure out for me what it was I wanted. I actually did even have a think about moving back home to Ireland but that never eventuated because I actually love Australia. But I guess for me, back then making that decision, I did think about a dream I always had too. I always wanted to be able to get up and go home to Ireland, see all my family. They're all back there when I wanted to. That wasn't possible in that other business. I could go for 2-3 years without seeing my family. And my which was huge. Like, it was huge, because you're leaving behind all that familiarity and you're leaving the motherland behind and, trying to settle into a new country. But, it was what it was. And I really, I guess, looking back now, I always dreamed of being able to go back, as I said, when I wanted to, when it suited me. So I was literally just about to open a boutique here, actually, in Sydney, when I actually came across a little ad on Facebook about this online business. And I don't know, something piqued my interest. I don't know what it was. I never answer ads. I'm always one of those people that tend to scroll by things. But anyway, this ad caught my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I requested more information. I had an interview, looked at the presentation, and you know what? Straight away, I just knew. My intuition said, Karen, forget about that boutique. This is where you need to go. This is what you need to do, because I could see all the pluses by having an online business. I knew I was going to be able to travel. I was going to be able to create that freedom for myself in my life, which I never had before, to be quite honest with you, right? So very, very quickly, got started here. couldn't believe what I got my hands on, to be honest with your age. I mean, even though I have been a business owner before, that meant nothing coming here because I actually had to relearn everything again, right? Uh, my skills as a previous business owner meant nothing here. The only thing that I brought with me was a really good work ethic. But here I was actually able to run the business very, very part-time. And that to me was just, it was just a game changer.
Let me ask you this. I think this would be interesting. So you were just about to jump into traditional business with the boutique. So ladies' clothes, I'm sort of imagining in Sydney. And in my mind, I do the math. Okay, you've got the rent on the shop location. You've got to be in a good location. Otherwise, forget about it. All of the stock to fill up your shelves, this, that, and the other. Can you remember what sort of money you were going to have to put into to start the boutique? Just round figures?
Yeah, it's going to be somewhere between 250 and 300.
Wow. Okay. So
huge investment, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And do you know when you start a business such as that traditional, can you recall when you're doing your math, let's say it's 250 to get in, 250,000 to get in. And then when you're planning, how long before you were expecting to be able to pull a profit from that business? Did you sort of do a projection?
Look, I knew realistically, first of all, I wasn't going to have the luxury of having staff. I knew I had to be the staff. It was all going to come down to me, especially if I wanted to make money, in a reasonable amount of time. But, I was looking at, I guess, when I looked at the overheads that I had or that I could have had, I was probably looking at about 2 years before I would actually start seeing money coming in the door for myself. And look, that's pretty normal. Like in traditional business, you don't really expect to see profits coming in your door, in the first 2 years. It really is unheard of. But, and then the other thing too was, I thought to myself, jeepers, if I open that boutique, I'm going to be stuck in that. I'm not going to be able to take holidays. I'm, not going to be able to close it when I want. So, you know what? It was a blessing in disguise. It didn't happen. But it was a good lesson for me to learn too. So I could actually do the comparisons. It was just such a good lesson.
My mom had a boutique when I was probably 13, 14, around about that. I think she had it for, 5 years or so. And I used to sit in there a little bit when she'd be going off doing things. I tell you, it was so boring. So that wasn't downtown Sydney. It was in a much more quiet in the Blue Mountains. But, oh, my gosh, you do around a lot waiting for people to walk in the door and all that jazz. And you do get a break. You could put the gone for 5 minutes on the door. Toilet break or something. My God. Could you imagine being on the clock like that? So anyway,
no.
2 years to turn a profit, 250K. I mean, when I first got started here, it was like 2,500 to get my foot in the door, and I'm talking US dollars. And then you got started here, and as I mentioned earlier, 12,000 US dollars profit in your 7th week in business. So very, very different to traditional business. Your overhead is, zilch. So that's a blessing in disguise. What have you learned along the way? Like when you started here, when you compare it to your traditional business experience, how long did it take you to get up and running? And you mentioned that you had to go through a learning curve here and that your skills, other than your work ethic, weren't necessarily transferable. So, what did you have to do, Karen, to get up and running to be banking that sort of profit in such a short space of time?
Well, I mean, look, the first thing was I was super excited about starting here because it was so different, and it was in the personal development industry. So I was pretty much on my own little journey there anyway. But look, I could see, I guess, from jumping on the training post straight away, I could see people were making incredible money here. And I thought to myself, just ordinary people too. Some great professionals we've got here in this business, but, just ordinary everyday people too. And could see all these people making this great money. And I thought, well, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it. And I remember at the time, really jumping in on the training calls, I was turning up to the training calls. I was literally soaking everything up. I was soaking up as much as I could in terms of what it's going to take to actually get this business off the ground. I was very, very open to learning. So, I was just plugging into training calls, and I was plugging into our training videos on how to place ads and how to write ads. And, not every ad I wrote in the beginning, sort of took off, but that's all right. You sort of have to pay yourself forward. But I was willing to do all of that, Rach, which was, I guess was a big part of it for me. And I suppose the other thing too, the more I actually worked on my mindset, I knew if I needed to create a different life for myself, I needed to change my thinking. Like I really did. So I didn't want to look back on the last 20 years and bring those forward into my next 20 years. I wanted my next 20 years to look very, very different. And I knew to do that, I was actually going to have to work on up here. And I did. And
I know if you do that, I have absolutely seen you embrace the personal development side of the business, the personal growth. And for the guys listening, that's what we do. We're a personal development company. So creating success from the inside out, live events, online courses is our product line. And you have really embraced that. Sorry to interrupt you, which is a key to success, I think, to fall in love with the products that you're representing and the process. So you saw others creating success, you plugged into the existing system. What did you find, I guess, the most difficult thing, the most difficult part of that process to creating your success here? Can you pinpoint that? Or maybe there's a couple of things that you've had to sort of overcome to create this level of success.
I mean, I guess because I created the success so quickly in the business, you know what? You do hit a little bump in the road every now and again, and you think, what's happened? What's happened? Well, nothing's happened, to be quite honest with you. All that's happened is it requires you to grow a little bit more, or to, plug yourself into a bit more training, learn a new platform, whatever that is. And just, for me, I've always known if I do the work, I expect to get paid. And I never look for that instant gratification ever. And it's like that in my other business too, right? Like we would be doing $2, $3, $4 million jobs. We put in a progress time. We knew at the end of it, we'd get paid. Simple as that. And I always sort of brought that into this business too, knowing if I can go to bed at night, put my head on my pillow and think, you know what? I've actually done the work today. I may not get paid for it today, but it's on its way.
Yeah.
So that was in the beginning, that was sort of something that I had to get, to get my head around. But I very quickly did, Rach. And look, I guess I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you almost 7 years later if, that thought process hadn't worked for me, and what I do on a day-to-day basis, didn't work for me. So it's ongoing. Look, you're always learning here, and I think the biggest thing for me, the more I work on my mindset, the more success comes to me. And it's not just in the business either, even outside this business, I've got other things happening as well. And rather than, limiting my thinking over other things I've got going on, other, investments or whatever, I've been a lot more open to what's possible now. Whereas before I would have come from a place of, looking at the limitations on everything, whereas now I see everything, all the possibilities in life. And that to me is really exciting. I love that. I love that about this business and what it's done for me.
Absolutely. So you're someone, traditional business, managing a bucket load of staff. I think at one point your construction company had like 500 staff. You were literally scheduling when you would have your baby. I'll have the cesarean on this day at this time so you could manage all these other things with your business, you were telling me, which is crazy. Fast forward to today. You're running your online business. You're making consistent high income. What's the lifestyle like? So allow people to step into the life of Karen these days, like the last 12 months as an example. Share with me what's been going on for you.
Gosh, I haven't sat here in Sydney long enough to even think about it. You know what? January, I was back in Ireland. March, I was back in Ireland. Um, August, I was all over Europe and back in Ireland. I'm back in Ireland again in 4 weeks' time. Seriously, like that is just something. I feel like an air hostess almost. I'm on planes that much. But I never, ever could see that sort of a life for myself before, Rich. I'll be really honest. Like, I couldn't, as I said, I could go 2, 3, 4 years without seeing my family before I came here. And now I'm able to literally, you know what, I just pick up my laptop. It's part of my luggage. It just comes with me. There's, it's just easy. And when I do travel to, it's simple. You just do a bit of marketing in the country that you're in or that region that you're in, so that your business doesn't skip a beat. I still like to be consistent. I still like to, do an hour or two each day while I'm away traveling just to keep that momentum up. But golly, that's actually what keeps the business turning over, and that's what actually still creates the results that I create here financially, because I am consistent. And I look at it now as a lifestyle business. What I do, I don't look at as work as such, because I have too much fun doing it anyway. So,
yeah. I mean, you're able to tap into, like, we've got the systems in place and the automation in place. I mean, these days we utilize AI to help us write the ads and all of these sorts of things. Do you know how many countries your client base stems to, off the top of your head? I'd be putting you on the spot here because we do trade all over the world. Do you personally know where you've got clients scattered around?
Oh my goodness, probably about 15 countries. Just this morning, I had another client come on board, another expat living in the Southeast Asia region. So that's pretty normal, right? When you're an expat yourself living a certain lifestyle, you will actually start attracting people like you that can see what you're doing with your life, and they want to have the same life, So I would say, I'd say comfortably probably about 15, somewhere between 15 and 20 countries worldwide in the last almost 7 years now, right?
That's amazing. And for the guys listening, I mean, we specialize in the high ticket space. So when you have a client come on board, you're profiting anywhere from $1,800 all the way through to just shy of like $20,000, depending on how big the client kind of commits to their growth, etc. So yeah, it allows to be quite time effective. And I say that because before I started here, I was like with a multi-level marketing company, very different to what we do. But each time a client came on board, it was like $50, $100, so very different. And all day long, I would much prefer to do the high ticket item. So anyway, Karen, any closing thoughts, anything that you would like people who are sort of considering entering the online space or the personal development space, any closing thoughts that you would share about your insights? You've been here on the journey for a while. Yeah, anything at all.
I mean, look, I know there's a lot out there in the online world, there is, but you know what, Rach? Interviewing people every day and talking to them and having those conversations, not all online businesses are equal, right? They're really not. So, if you're somebody who's sitting there and you're sort of afraid to, dip your toe in the water, just have a look to see what we have to offer, because if you don't have a look, you never know. And look, for me, I'm so glad I did, right? Because otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you now. But
taking your 5-minute break with your rugby.
I've been putting all back in 5 minute sale, back in 5 minute sign. Oh my goodness, can you? I mean, like seriously, I laugh about that now because I think, imagine me stuck in that shop, in that boutique. I mean, I'm better off in the boutique being the customer,
exactly,
than the person owning it. But yeah, look, I would just say, you know what, just take a chance and back yourself. It's the one thing in here that we do extremely, extremely well is we actually offer so much support to people. I mean, we couldn't offer any more support, to be honest. We're not into managing people, right? We're not into that, but we do offer support. And to be honest with you, that's second to none. And I can say for myself, I probably wouldn't be here if I hadn't have had that support. And it's ongoing, like it never ends, right? We're always training, we're always, coming up with new ideas, new concepts and new systems and just to make the business easier. So it's take a chance, just have a look at what we have to offer. And you know what, if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, no problem, right? So
I think you should. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, awesome, darling. Well, I can't wait to see you soon. I guess the next time we catch up, it's going to be down under in Melbourne in just a short time. So we'll see you there. Safe travels, and thanks for joining me. Thanks, Karen.
Thanks, Rach. Bye.